The sperm of the Rockefellers, Soros, Bush, and the whole clique is there. Because these women have been captured from countries all over the world, brought there, impregnated, and sent back home. And these children are followed. And these are the children who are now adults who we see on these important places.
Oh my God.
You know, they made a documentary about my work in the Netherlands not long ago, and they called it a snowman. You know what a snowman is, a ball, a ball, a ball. And I always have to simplify things so that people can understand. A human being is like a snowman. The upper ball, the small one, is everything that has to do with rational thinking. The middle ball is emotions, love, fear, all what has to do with emotion. The down ball is everything that has to do with sexuality. Now, with these people who are abusers, the middle ball is broken. Feeling is very difficult for them. And so they are more the kind of feelings are facts. I feel bad, somebody hurt me. Somebody did this to me. But most of these offenders who have been hurt, being a victim, and can be healed. It's not difficult. But for some, it's completely broken. And the biggest mistake I hear all the time from psychiatrists and the so-called expert is psychopaths have no empathy. It's the biggest lie ever.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've heard that. I thought that was true.
No. If somebody has empathy, it are psychopaths. They've been through all this. They have been humiliated. They have been threatened. They have been abused. They have been victims of the 5 forms of abuse.
Yeah.
If somebody knows how it feels to be denigrated, humiliated, installed fear in, it or them. What they do not have, and that's a very important difference, is compassion.
Yeah.
They have no compassion, but empathy and compassion are completely two different things. Why compassion? Because nobody was there to have compassion for them when they were in trouble. So they hate society. They hate people. They will play their role to survive within society, those psychopaths, but they know exactly what to do to project their humiliation feelings, their fear, their whatever feeling they can't deal with. They project it on the victim, and they know exactly how to do that. And they love to see the fear of death in the eyes of these children or adults.
Because they've been made to feel so low when they were children that the only way that they feel better is to push other people down to their level or below them. That's like typical bully trait. Yeah.
Yeah, and they get back at, of course, innocent people, while I often tell the offenders I am treating, why don't you go after him, the one who did hurt you? But when they are confronted with their abuser, with their torture, they regress immediately to the age where they have been victims. So they are scared to death. And then it's easier to take an innocent victim and then see their pain. It's a way of getting rid of their frustration, the fact that they had no justice, that nobody was there to help them, even if they gave signals or even if they talked to my teacher is raping me, and oh well, you will forget about it. There are such things that happen, but it is so crucial to help these children immediately, because it's like fine dentelle, lace. A child is like fine lace, and what you see is that these people that abuse them and torture them and whatever, they clean the floor with that fine lace. So it's destroyed. You can repair a lot, but with some people it's too far. And so what we see then in the snowman is that normally the energy has to flow through the three balls: rational thinking, feelings, sexuality.
Yeah.
With these people, where it is harmed, it goes like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And it
avoids
goes
the
to
emotions.
sexual.
It goes straight from mind to sexual. Yeah.
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 And so they lash out and rape children or adults or whatever. But for most of them, 90%, this can be healed. The heart area, feel, not being afraid to feel, being allowed to be angry when injustice has been done to you. I help them to make a complaint with the police. I help them to find a lawyer to keep up, or even I help them to represent themselves in court, because it's all about money for people, and this is not how it is supposed to be. And I train people in my academy to work like this. And I have one in the UK also who is very, very good. Beverly is very good. I have one in Belgium. He's already working with the courts now, and with probation officers. And he works with the workbooks. I've written workbooks so they can start working with victims and offenders. They are obliged in my academy to work with victims and offenders. And not, oh, I only want to work with an offender. No. You do both or none. You're not coming in my academy. I have a contract of non-confidentiality with criminals, sexual criminals, which I don't have with the victim. But this means that everything shall and can be shared with police departments, justice departments, lawyers of the victims, and even the victims, if they ask for it, on simple demand. And they have to sign. And they all sign.
So you're talking to the offenders as well. You're talking to a lot of them at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm treating them. I have 0 relapse in 30 years.
Oh, that's good. That's
0.
good.
While without specific and specialized therapy, the relapse is 97%. Within an average of 4 days after leaving prison.
Would you say a high percentage of these offenders were also abused when they were children?
Yeah.
Like 99% or something?
No, that's a bit much, but at least 75 to 80%.
Okay. Right.
If you go and have a look in prisons, they know exactly how many have been abused. And that goes over 90%. And then again, you have these 5 forms of abuse. It's not only sexual abuse.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning. Yeah.
That's important to tell.
Yeah, so they don't have to be sexually abused to go on to sexually abuse children. They could have just been a victim of one of those 5 abuses, and then they go on.
At least 3 to have the effect of becoming an offender. Yeah.
A sexual abuser, to become a sexual abuser. Yeah.
Or a violent person.
Or a violent, but we're talking, let's just say someone that's sexually abusing children. How many of those 5 do they have to go through before they become a sexual?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's important to tell people, I think. Yeah. So then they do.
Nobody listened to them, and nobody helped them. And the psychopaths, that's my first book, Child Hunters, where I explain, I've been following up one of the most horrible child killers in France. And I went to prison in the south of France, talked to him in prison. These people you can never release. It doesn't mean we have to be inhuman with them, but you can't let them in society anymore. But if you read how he became like this, all people are shocked when they read the book. First, they are a bit scared because it's about child abuse and murder. But in the beginning, everybody is so hurt by what has been done to that little boy, and they don't know where the story will go. And then further on, they see that he made one of the most gruesome murders on 2 little girls, 8 years. I have the autopsies, I have everything. You have no idea how bad it was. And then they feel guilty because they felt for the little boy.
They felt guilty?
They feel guilty because of, in the end, they see what this little boy who had endured in his childhood had become himself a criminal, an awful criminal. And they felt guilty that in the beginning they felt compassion and empathy for that little boy. This is you do not understand.
Because let's just take this criminal that's in prison right now for killing a child or and raping a child, let's say.
Yeah.
What was his name?
In my book, it's Jan. It is Christian Vargeloving.
Christian. So you're saying that when he murders the child, he looks at this child and it reminds him of when he was a child himself. Is that what you mean?
Oh, it's only the anger that comes up because he probably killed more than 10 children. I have 1,000 pages handwritten from him. And in the end, he says, well, you're smart enough. You know how I function. You know my profile. It's up to you to find out where the others are.
Oh, that's horrible.
Now he's dead. He died in prison.
Why was he guilty, though? Why did he feel guilt? That's what I didn't understand.
He didn't feel guilt.
He didn't feel guilt.
No.
I thought you said that he felt guilty because, and then you mentioned something about seeing the child. And did I hear that wrong? No.
No. He absolutely not. He even went to see a psychiatrist before he killed the two girls, telling them that he had very, very violent fantasies. And the psychiatrist said that, oh, as long as it's only fantasies, it doesn't matter.
Oof. Nothing's done about it.
It's serious.
They don't take it seriously, do they?
No, you don't become a psychopath just like that. What I mean with this book is, first, he was raised in a family with extreme violence. The father, an alcoholic, extreme violence. His mother ended up in a hospital many times. Then I separated the two stories because it was too awful to put in one story. But the second part is about the girl, Henny, who has been raped from the age of 2 or 3 by the father and his friends and all that. And abortions later on were committed on the kitchen table. And, you know, his sister slept in his room. So he witnessed all the rapes on his little sister. And then she fled. I found her. She was living with a priest in Germany. I talked to her too. It's awful. It's all in the book. Because I wanted people to know that we are making our own psychopaths. They're just not born. Some are born with tendencies to psychopathy, but it depends on the upbringing, how this can be directed.
So what is the definition of a psychopath, and what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath?
Oh, well, people use those words just like that, and he's a narcissist, and he's this, and borderline. There are 9 criteria for the borderline. And in my last book, I made comparison with the points of the borderline and the psychopath, and it are the same, except that the psychopath will kill, and the borderline will more have tendencies, not all, of course, but it are degrees, tendency to crime, but not necessarily violent crime. So, but you have to, and most of the people have several of these points, but not so outspoken. For instance, they are shallow. When you talk with a borderline or a psychopath, they know everything about art. Until you start to ask, yes, but Rembrandt, he was this or he was that, and they're lost. They don't know. It's very superficial. They spend a lot of money. They are addicted to many things like casinos, casinos.
Yep.
Spending a lot of money on cars, and so there are 9 criteria for this. And then you have the narcissistic ones. And then you can make a psychopath in 2 ways: by lack of love, no love, or too much love.
Oh, right.
These are the children that become the most dangerous psychopaths you can imagine. Too much love is it's not never the fault of my little boy. It's the teacher, it's this one, it's everybody. That girl, well, she didn't have to be in the street there at that time of the day. So there is overprotection, and not only from mothers, but also from fathers. I don't know if you followed a while the Halloween murder on that island there.
Halloween Massacre?
No.
No.
Her name was Halloween.
Oh,
She's
sorry,
never
I thought you
been
said
found.
Halloween. Sorry.
No, it looks a bit like it, but
Halloween.
that was the father was a judge from the Netherlands. It was in Aruba or the islands.
Sorry, where are you talking? In America? Or
Yeah, it was an island.
an
She's never
island?
been
Hawaii?
found. No. There's so many cases, my
Yeah.
head, it explodes of something. But it was a father who overprotected his boy.
Okay.
And now he's in prison in Mexico for another murder. But these are people you can't restore anymore.
You can't restore them, no.
No.
They can't find that middle ball
No,
again, no.
it's gone.
It's gone, has it? Really?
And it's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault.
In their minds, you mean?
Yeah, I had a case just after the Dutroux case. It hardly came into the newspaper because it was too gruesome. Well, our parents, not wealthy, but have enough money. And they decided they had two daughters. One was, I think, 18 years of age, and then the other one was 13 or 14 years of age. And the parents wanted to go for a weekend to Germany. And they thought, okay, they're old enough, we can spend 2 days without their parents. So they went and they told the youngest one, don't let your boyfriend in. They couldn't stand him. They didn't want this guy around their daughter. Of course, you know how it is when you're 13, mommy, daddy gone. And the boyfriend came in. They've been watching all day horror movies. At midnight, the girl says, I'm going to sleep. And she went upstairs. She went to a bed.
Oh, my God.
And then he had put paper in each bedroom and put fire on it. But it didn't burn long. Now, her sister of 18 came home, I think 5 a.m, and she finds her sister on the driveway like this. Big panic, of course, police there, parents called. Now, they found him quite fast. I think he was 16 years old, the criminal. But then the funeral had to be arranged, and the mother of the victim is in the bakery to order all kind of food for the funeral. And the mother of the killer comes in. And you know what this mother of the killer said to the mother of the victim? If you wouldn't have gone to Germany, this wouldn't have happened.
Oh.
That kind of people are evil to have children, because it's not his fault. You should have stayed home. And you will hear that very often now, because there are a lot of narcissist people they are bringing up these days,
Yeah,
it's
that was actually that's like the Ronnie Cray and Reggie Cray were totally worshipped by the mum. They could do no wrong in the eyes of the mum. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? They're grown up thinking that they're better than everyone else, and
Absolutely.
they have higher status than everyone else, and they're entitled to whatever they want. That entitlement gets set at an early age, I think. Yeah.
Incredible. And not punishment. No punishment. Never. It's always somebody else's
fault. So that's how you create
they are the most dangerous, and that are the ones we can see now governing in the West.
They were either not loved or loved too much. Yeah.
Yeah, they are loved too much.
Or put through programming. They could be, I think, a lot of them.
Also, but it's a kind of programming anyway.
But I mean, trauma-based.
To think that all the others are stupid and it's never your fault. It's a kind of programming also.
Yeah. Just going back to, you remember you mentioned about the politician. I don't know if you finished that bit, but do you remember you said they were talking about Bilderberg, and then you were like, how can you not know about Bilderberg? What happened to this person, this politician?
Premier, my country now.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
He's now even the representative of Europe for 6
Mm,
months.
mm,
Alexander de Croo.
mm. Yeah. And why did you bring him
Out
up? I
their
can't remember why
childhoods.
you brought him up, but I can't remember why. There was something about, there's a reason why you mentioned him.
Yeah, it's about the fact that they lie. They
Yeah.
pretend not to know things while they are in it.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
They are in it.
Yeah. Mm,
For me, since I was a child, the lie is the biggest sin. Always.
mm,
Everything starts with lies.
mm. But children also have to lie to protect themselves sometimes, otherwise they get hit or, they get punished, right? That's how children start lying.
But you have to punish them if they lie.
Not
In
always. I
our
mean,
society, even in the social media,
yeah.
you don't know what is a lie and what isn't anymore.
No, I know, I understand that. I'm just saying, let's say a child knocks over a drink on the floor and then the dog's running around the house and they know that they're going to get punched in the face if they say it's them. They said, did you knock that drink over? And then the dog's running. You'll probably blame the dog, and that a child will do that, right? And then they don't get hit. So for me, that's not a bad thing. Like if a child says that, it's not
No, it's self-protection.
exactly. Yeah,
We're
that's what I mean.
talking
Yeah.
about very, very rational thought of lies.
Deception, deliberate,
Deception, yeah,
intentional,
yeah.
premeditated deception. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. And that's what we have with these politicians. It's like one big giant lie that we're being deceived
Incredible.
everywhere. It's
And it
hard to
never
get any
stops.
truth out of anything. It's look at the last
Like the
4 years.
musician with the head.
Yeah,
They pull out a white rabbit.
yeah,
If that doesn't work, I put out another one.
yeah.
Another lie,
Another
another
lie
lie.
to back up the other lie, and like, yeah, yeah, lie, lie.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah,
incredible? So anyway,
mm,
those criminals on the highest
yeah.
levels, or most of them are involved in sacrifices with children.
So then the people at the very highest levels, like we're talking politicians, presidents, prime ministers,
Yeah,
like your
most of them.
Rockefellers,
You can't reach that level if you're not blackmailable.
and their bloodlines, but they also get blackmailed as well. They've probably got on tape themselves raping children, and it's probably on tape, right?
Probably will. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why the Epstein story came out. Jeffrey Epstein was used to
It's
blackmail.
an industry.
Yeah. I've also
Lifestyle
heard
was
that
an industry.
I've also heard that some of these people they willingly film themselves raping children because it's like their alliance with the cult. It's like their way of saying, "Yep, don't worry, I'm be loyal. I'm not going to leave this cult. You can film me raping this dog or this child." I've also heard that
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah. And they get a copy and they watch it and they
Phew.
relive their fantasy again and they masturbate while watching it.
Do you think they enjoy it though, or do you think there's anyone that do you think they don't? Some of them don't want to, but they like you said earlier, like they were forced to, or do you think at that level they're so deviant, they're so evil that they just really enjoy it?
I think that everything that has to do with guilt and feeling of guilt or compassion is gone. They are only focused on the material things and the benefits of doing this. It's a bit like
Yeah,
Regina
yeah,
said,
yeah.
well, but I like this. Of course she didn't like it, but she knew that if she didn't get this man involved in being blackmailed later, that she would suffer seriously.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning, what the one that had to corrupt the sportsman, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
And the sportsman is someone that was just pretty normal, but they knew that they had to go along with this to kind of be accepted into the network, the system.
well, yeah, most of them do that,
Mm.
but this man didn't want to
You
do
didn't
it.
want to, yeah.
Absolutely not. In the end, he did it because she said that she was going to be punished severely.
Yeah.
They are trained. They are trained
Yeah.
how to do it. Uh, I think they confuse you. And anyway, I think they already use coke on beforehand and then drinks and well to take the brakes off.
Yeah, of the
Something like
people
that.
to make them
Yeah.
lose their inhibitions and
Yeah.
not care so much. I've also a friend of mine was in the music industry, and he was saying that they have parties where they corrupt the musicians and get them sleeping with underage girls, and then they then progress these people and they give them like the best. They get them into boy bands and girl bands, and they work hard to give them a, you know, sign them to a record label. And
But
yeah.
they will not immediately present the baby to these people. Like you said, young girls underage, and then lower and lower and lower, and then it goes smoothly, you know.
So they take
The
them from
frog in
like,
the hot water.
yeah, frogs. So they get them with like a 16, 15-year-old girl, let's
Yeah.
say. And then that next time they'll like introduce someone a bit younger, a bit younger, a bit younger, right?
12, 10,
Is
8.
that how it works? That's how
Yeah.
it works. Okay.
Yeah. But there are perverts that really, really
Yeah.
kick on babies, raping babies. And if you see in the
Yeah.
Netherlands, you can
Yeah.
have a book a book about how to rape a baby.
What
Yeah, and they do not
the
forbid
hell?
it.
They
How to
haven't
rape a
forbidden it.
baby. Yeah, no, it's not forbidden.
What?
No. So you see the perversion of our entire Western societies.
It's all messed
Yeah,
up, isn't it? It's completely
it's
messed
seriously
up.
messed up. Yeah.
And then you were saying before about the that person that was bribed, and you know they were given 1 million, well, we believe to be like 1 million euros, and then they were teaching like the sexualization of children, and
Yeah, that's
that's all come
important for
from
the
Alfred
children.
Alfred Kinsey,
Kinsey.
or
Yeah.
Keynesian education, like that sexology research.
I don't remember whom it was, but
Yeah,
a victim who was talking about me about something, and I all of a sudden I thought, oh wait, this could be a victim from the King's Institute because nobody knows where these children are.
yeah,
Nobody knows that. Where are these victims that were masturbated 12 hours a day? Babies. I know Kingsley, the case of Kingsley, very, very well. And all these people have been put there by Zionists,
right,
all
okay,
of them. But also Salvatore Dali, Einstein, all these people that, well,
right, yeah,
that carry the Western world have been put there by Zionists, all of them,
yeah.
or were Zionists.
Or were, yeah. And when we mean Zionists, we're talking about like Rothschild Zionism. We're talking about like a satanic bloodline that operates under the guise of Judaism. That's my understanding anyway. They're not real Jews, they're pretend Jews.
No.
They're
They
Satanists.
hijacked
They're
the Jews.
hijacked Judaism. They've
But they
basically, yeah,
hijacked every institution.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
They send their people in and then they give sponsor money. I am now investigating the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in Arlington.
Yeah.
Has been hijacked. People are giving
Yeah, yeah,
donations,
yeah.
but there's nothing there anymore. People are not aware of it, but I'm investigating this.
These charities, especially children's charities, they're just cartels, they're mafia. They're just collecting
Are
money.
all infiltrated, all of them.
All of them. Yeah, you can't trust any of them.
No,
No.
no. It's really sad because what help is there now for victims?
Yeah, and you can't trust the care homes either, because I've spoken to people that were gang raped in care homes, social services, and they even invited like Lord Mountbatten and royalty to come down, and then they would
I'm a
send them.
victim of this.
You've
I'm a
spoken to a victim, or
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
spoken to a
I
victim?
know
Yeah,
him very well, Anthony.
yeah. And they were like told to run naked through the woods, and they would chase these kids through the
Yeah,
woods and stuff. They're
yeah.
called the chase, and then you have the TV show The Chase, which is a little bit like, so
But
yeah,
it is based on a novel written in France. I have that novel somewhere, but I have so many documents.
yeah.
It is a
Hunger
novel
Games
of,
sounds like Hunger Games, no?
yeah, but it is based on a novel written 200 years ago.
Yeah, it's sick, the stuff that you can't trust. You just can't trust any of the institutions anymore. They're completely
No, but
corrupted,
I've been warning
infiltrated.
for this for 30 years. I
Yeah,
don't trust any institution, but it's got worse
it's
since.
got worse. What do you make of this LGBT stuff where they're talking about there's a TEDx talk that said, oh, um, we should go easy on the pedosexuals.
It is in our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with.
This is sick. That's like a line you don't cross, you know.
See, no, there is a Jesuit once who came, he was responsible for social problems in the streets in Brussels. And he came very often at my place years ago. And I was really upset about things. I don't remember what. And he said, give me a child under the age of 10 and it will always be mine. He was one who had then been promoted to the Center of Equality and everything, Johan Lemans Centrum. Johan Lemans Centrum. He was a Jesuit, and he told me, give me a child under the age of 10, and it will always be mine. And that's fucking true. It is true. You break a child, and it's yours. They will always fear you, and they are there with their anger, and they will act out on the wrong people because they have no justice. We have no justice departments anymore. It's finished. We have no judges anymore. Because those who are maybe good judges, they should have stood up a long time ago, and they don't.
They don't. Yeah.
So it's fact. It's fact.
It's fucked, yeah, and it's fact.
Yeah.
It's fact and it's fucked. Yeah, no, I thought you said it's fact, and then I was like, no, you said fucked. I'm like, that's true as well. It's fucked and it's fact. Yeah. Look at Jimmy Savile. Look at how the BBC looked after him for decades. They all knew he was like raping children in the building there, as well at the BBC. And there's even people now in the BBC who are paedophiles, and like they're being protected, just like Jimmy Savile. So it's all, but people still watch the BBC and they still pay their TV license here, and everyone's just like, oh, it's just Jimmy Savile. Don't worry, it's just a one-off. It's not a one-off. This is like everywhere. It's completely saturated full of these paedophiles, like a network.
Yeah, well, when you're working for so long in this area and you have so many victims, and then all these names come back, and the victims don't know the other victims. You have no idea how many names I have.
Are we allowed to say any names of the top people?
Top people. And most of them premiers of countries.
Premiers, yeah.
Prime ministers.
So you've spoken to victims who have been of the
I'm
politicians.
still working with them all the time.
Well, and they've been raped by presidents and prime ministers.
Yeah, and it's always the same names, and they don't know each other.
Yeah, it's so consistent.
They did not come out with it because then they put them in mental health hospitals.
Yeah.
I think if you would do an investigation in mental health hospitals, my God, I think it will blow your mind.
Yeah.
About these people, when you really are listening to these people, but they put them away.
Yeah, of course they would. They'd kill them probably, Yeah.
Yeah, but or they are on medication. Oh, but he's on drugs. Oh, she's she's on medication.
Crazy. Yeah,
She has a mental disorder.
Mm.
Yeah, sure.
That's why they can't speak out.
They're not telling the truth.
Yeah, that's why they can't speak out. I mean, even just from me doing this podcast, and I interview a lot of different people, all their stories connect, and they're from all around the world, and they don't know each other, and yet all their stories are consistent.
Strange,
how is that possible? Strange, how is it that all their stories are backing each other's up if they don't know each other? So it's just
these days you could say, well, that's because of the internet. But if there are things coming up like Spain, sperm banks, nobody's talking about it on the internet. Yeah, nobody, because nobody found out yet.
That's wild about the sperm bank. So is that still there? That sperm bank?
I don't know if it's still there. But I have the papers of it. Yeah, and the and other things, the things that have been invented 100 years ago, beautiful things to heal people. I have one of them, one of my victims. Wait a minute. I'm gonna take the box for a minute. Hold on.
Oh yeah, go. Yeah.
Gone. The father of one of my victims, who worked also in Nazi Germany, because he invented this.
Right.
This is a tool. I did some research, and now it's all gone. I think I I saved it. Centicure X11. It is a tool, looks very modern for this day. Because it has been invented almost 100 years ago. And I was really amazed because, look, you see, it even has plugs
Yeah.
we use here on the continent.
What is that then?
Well, this has to do with frequencies. And
Yes,
I
I know
found
this.
studies in Russia. Well, you have to plug it in here, you see.
Bioresonance. It's bioresonance therapy. Yeah.
High
Works with
frequency.
frequencies. Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're hurt or you're suffering from something, you plug it in the electricity, and you go over it, and it disappears. Now, if you go on the internet and you look IteraCare, that's a new tool. It looks like this. Wait, I'll put it here. It looks like a high. Oh, I can't
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a phone for your heart here, because they cannot sell it as being a healing tool because of the pharmacia. Now this one is exactly the same, and it has another form, but it does the same. And then I found studies on it, Russian studies, where they tried this out 70, 80 years ago on horses with malformations in the hooves, the feet. Yeah, and it healed.
Wow.
Then they started to try this out on young people who had severe motor accidents. Their bones healed tremendously. So there have been studies on this thing.
Yeah.
He has been recruited by the German to develop this stuff and all that. So it's not that I don't have it. I have it, here. See, I have.
Why don't you use that on your brain?
Well, I'm using the other one, the new one, but I dare not use this one because I don't know what it does, and I should have an engineer have a look at it and say, "Oh, yeah, well, this is great." But you see,
need to know what you're doing with that. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that there is this on means frequency.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I would say make sure you know what you're doing with that.
God knows, maybe I start rotting.
Well, because I'm just thinking they could. I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but they could set bad frequencies, and then you're using it on your body. So just.
Yeah, well, but this I found documents about it on the internet, but now it's all gone. I don't know how that comes. So many question marks we have. Centicure, but there's no instruction in it anymore. That's pity. So I don't know how to use it.
My friend has a similar thing. It's bioresonance therapy, and there's a special machine for it as well. And it costs a lot of money, but he does healings with this. Yeah, that's why a lot of these wealthy people, they live till they're like 90, 100. Some of these people, up until this year, you'd never normally get royalty getting cancer either. Up until this year.
Oh, yeah, but now in the UK, Kate
and Prince and King Charles, which I'm like, it feels like a dodgy, doesn't feel real.
Maybe it's ready to escape in their dungeons, in their underground palaces.
Yeah,
I think they start to fear.
They're fearing, aren't they? They're running.
It's not going the way.
No, it's not going their way. I wonder if have you heard anything about the royals, the royal family in England?
Oh yeah, sure.
Have you had victims talk about them or not?
Yeah, I have one in New Zealand who she sent me pictures even of her brother and sister who are still involved. She's not. She's just a simple good woman. And having dinner with Andrew, and I have the pictures.
Oh wow!
I'm not just saying things, If I cannot back it up, I just keep my mouth shut. But I have these pictures, and her mother and all. My mother has been sent from Amsterdam to Australia, and there she married when she was a baby. Then I don't know exactly. I'm trying to reconstruct the past because it's important. The past is very, very important. She must have been in an orphanage or something. So there is child trafficking, and it's much huger than we think. We should read my book, Little Sinners, Church and Child Trafficking. It is all organized by the Vatican. In the Vatican also, they have had an orphanage where these children that were stolen were brought to the Vatican, and from there they were sold to the highest bidders in the United States.
And
now, one of the victims who lives in the United States, she's very happy, but she has been stolen like this, and she passed by the Vatican, where they put them in nice clothes, and and then the highest bid.
So the royals are in contact. The royals are connected to the Vatican, right? And they would get children sent to them from the Vatican.
Yeah. And anyway, what did she do in Canada? The Queen.
Well, I can't remember.
Well, Canada, in fact, is still
common
the property
British
of the royals of England, no doubt. But she went to visit there, and she took 50 children with her for a day in nature, never been seen again.
I remember that, yeah. Just going back though about the royals. So the royals, you've spoken to victims who were raped by royalty.
Yeah, who are still involved. Their families are still involved with the royals. Yeah.
Their families have sold them to the royals. Yeah.
They interact on the same level.
Yeah.
They have dinner with them. They go in restaurants with Prince Andrew, and I have the picture.
Is it Prince Andrew or others? Is there
no,
more?
No. It is Andrew and others. Because these are private pictures. Nobody knows.
Have you heard anything about William and Harry? Are they like, Harry seems a bit like not interested in going along with the family. Is he also part of it?
I'm not sure. You should find the book. I think you can have it again. It was on the index list in Europe. So I was in Los Angeles, and there were still 2 books to find, and it is it's about an air hostess from planes who got married with one of the highest in Belgium, the Borggraven royals, not royals, but elite. And there were only 2 books left, and you couldn't get them in Belgium. And it's Dangerous Liaisons, where she describes that, and she isn't saying everything. I think now she has been saved by the security of the United States in Belgium, and they just got her out of this country, just to say, country of nothing. But of course, we have all the institutions here: NATO, United Nations, European Union. It's all here in Brussels. You see, it's evil. And she was then introduced to I think 2 boys of the Borggraven, 2 little boys, and they wanted her to have sex with them. She's an American, and she thought, these people are crazy. What's this?
Why?
And then also they had these parties in the castle near Brussels, and everybody was there. All the high society was there. And it was so strange. She explains in her book that at a certain point, all the time there were pornographic pictures projected on the walls, all around, having sex with multiple people. And then at midnight, it was like there was a sign going off, and I think this is a castle with maybe 300-400 rooms. And they retracted all into rooms where they had sex with 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then the day after, she said she was forced to have sex with several too. And then the day after, she said it was so strange. It was they were all dressed up, nothing happened, and they were having breakfast as if nothing ever happened. She had to flee out of this situation. Jacques de Borgrave committed suicide, but there already was a big discussion that he married her because she was not a Jew, and very, very racistic. And it are women. Don't underestimate women. Women are worse than men, really worse than men. Yeah, yeah.
In these
Also in
worlds,
torturing. Yeah.
how are they worse?
Also,
What doing what?
well, in torture, I refuse. I've said that in many interviews. I refuse to work with women because I punch them in the face. I couldn't understand. It's only in '94 that I realized, having practice placement in Birmingham, working with child sex offenders and all that, that I saw 4 women there, and I thought, what are they doing here? And they were child rapists. I couldn't believe it. But okay, now we are 30 years further, but I have seen a lot of victims of women. And women are so much more sophisticated, so much more cruel than men.
What do they do? What are they doing that's crueler than men?
It's more the finer torture. I had a little boy who had been, the traffic from within schools is also a big problem. And he told me that his teachers put a rubber around his little penis. He was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And then it started to swell, and then they take the rubber and they pull it, and it was very, very painful. And I heard other things committed by women who are, can't almost not describe. Women have apparently more fantasies, evil fantasies, that men are more the brutes, and don't underestimate women.
Why do you think that is? Like, why are they crueler? Why they have these like more evil fantasies?
We are different than men, and maybe in a way we have to, as women, suppress more anger than men do. And I don't know. They should make studies about that, but of course, if they deny that it is a case, so why would they do studies? A bit idiotic, no? There's so much that has to be done. Well, I only have 24 hours a day, just like you, and I have to switch languages, and then in the end,
bless you.
Collapse.
Yeah. By the way, we've been going on. I'm so grateful for your time, Carine. And I know that it's difficult for you because you've with the your injuries, and you're always thinking, and you've got a lot going on. So I really, really
Always
appreciate
working,
always working, always helping people, trying to fight the evil on the planet, which is what you're doing. And you've got, as you say, people are trying to blackmail you, bribe you, kill you. I mean, you're an absolute warrior. I mean, it's just incredible to talk to you. I just feel so blessed.
And then the threats from within police departments from other countries.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to survive. That, well, we heard you're going to Eindhoven. I said, how do you know? They can't intimidate me.
Have they tried to kill you then?
Oh, well, they said I was not going to arrive there. And I said, well, we'll see. And I just dropped the phone. But then in an operation room, they threatened me a week before, saying I had a thyroid operation. Nobody knew about it. Yeah. And then I had the threat saying, oh, there are people dying during such a surgery. Click. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was a doctor. And she said, oh, I'm going to come with you to the operation room. I said, come on. No, the surgeon recognized me from the media. He's going to think I'm a lunatic. No, just say that I've never been there during an intervention like that. I'm allowed to be there. Well, if she wouldn't have been there, I would have been sitting here talking to you. The surgery went well. The surgeon left, and then somebody comes in, but they have their stuff on those green things, and he takes an ampoule. He opens it and he puts it in the Baxter, and then another one. I put it in, and my friend Anne goes to the trash bin, and she takes it out, and she says to the nurse who was cleaning everything, do you put what's the name again? It's a blood thinner, a serious blood thinner. Do you put this in a Baxter after such surgery? She said, no. She said, look, and she showed the trash bin and she said, 2 of them. Immediately they pulled out all this syringe in my hand. I would have been bled to death inside. Well, yeah, complications. These happen.
So they actually have people working in the hospitals that are part of the network that they
And they
assign.
send somebody in and
They send someone in a.
They take a thing and they're
Really,
and
they
they
go in
in
like
and
that.
nobody questions.
What, they can just like quickly sneak into the hospital and pretend to be a doctor or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Gosh.
But this, you know, these aprons are hanging there and these things, and so they just take it.
Bloody hell,
It
yeah.
could be done.
I mean, we know what happened in the last 4 years. Like the elderly were being put on remdesivir and midazolam, these drugs that were killing them, and then it was going down as a COVID death. And the NHS were doing it, and they knew it was killing them, but they were saying, "Look, we're just following orders. We're told by the World Health Organization we have to do this." So you can even have like good people. Well, you'd think they're good people, normal people, killing people, hundreds of people with these drugs. They know that midazolam actually goes into lethal injections in America. You know, and they were killing the elderly off, and they were just saying, "I'm just following orders," just like the Third Reich, like Germany, you know. They're not just like the Nazi era. So it goes to show that they don't even have to be that evil to carry out these things. Sometimes normal people do this.
We've seen it here with these jabs. My God.
No, I know. It's unbelievable. And then everyone's just like making you the bad person for not wanting to inject this into your arm.
But many regret having had them.
Well, I know. It's all coming out. It's all coming out, isn't it? I mean, we're seeing footballers, athletes dropping dead every weekend now. And it's just like, how obvious does it need to get before it's like, hello?
It's a genocide.
It's a genocide. It's a Holocaust.
Yeah, and I knew this since 2002, and I didn't believe it.
Who was it that told you that they were going to wipe out 90%? Who was it?
Head of state security.
In Belgium?
No, Switzerland.
Oh, in Switzerland. Okay. And did he say it was going to be with a jab or not? An injection? No, he didn't say.
No. And I don't ask questions because in my questions, they know what I am interested in. I don't give anything. You know, I didn't even know where I was. I was in his private cabin there. And I don't ask because then otherwise, you know, it's the same. Don't give me a file of a murder, okay? I go from scratch. Where did it happen? Where did they do it? Use the right words. It didn't happen. They did it. And I heard you talking with Anneke Lucas for a part.
Yeah.
And everybody uses this. Oh, well, you know, this happened and this happened. No, it didn't happen. They choose to do it. They did it. Put the right words on the right event.
Exactly.
Because what happens? A storm, a lightning, a flood. These are things that happen. There's nothing we can do. But killing children, raping children, torturing children, it's a choice. So they did it. And all my offenders that I treat, they are forbidden to use, yeah, I know it happened. Immediately I focus and I say, you what? What? Oh, yeah, well, sorry, yeah, I did it. Put the blame fucking where it belongs.
Yes. Yeah. Because they're disassociating by saying it happened. It's like it's not them. They're not involved. No accountability, no responsibility.
That's that, isn't it? It happened.
It happened.
You did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You made a choice and you did it. Accept that.
Is that part of their therapy? Is that what helps them not relapse? Is when they take full accountability of it? Yeah, that's part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works nicely because I had several offenders who told me, I was listening to the news on television and I heard them say that this happened. And immediately I thought, no, he did it. It goes in immediately. Yeah, it's like a reprogramming, but then with the right words. The offenders themselves, they said, oh, God, I saw on the news that, and he was saying that it happened. And immediately I thought, no, it didn't happen. You did it. You did it. Good. Yeah, put the blame where it belongs. And that's me. And I did it.
And then did they then go through a grieving process, or do they then, when they take responsibility, I'm guessing some of these people have no guilt, so it's difficult for them to heal from that.
Yeah, but I make reports for the Justice Department because I'm an expert at the Justice Department. And then I put in that even if I have to intervene for the defense of such a criminal, I put in he's too dangerous. You can't let him out.
That's what it has to be, yeah.
And they accept that. From me, they accept that because I explain to them, you can't. When you see Christian van Geloven in my book, Child Hunters, he at a certain point, I was in jail with him and he was crying and he said, I can't get free anymore. I can't get free because when I'm watching television and I see children in commercials, I get an erection. I have to jerk me off. He was crying. He said, I can't stop this. I can't. But what do? Release them after a while? He killed 2 little girls.
Yeah, it's just
in an awful way.
I mean,
there's a lot of work to do, and a lot of training has to be given to people who work with, especially offenders, because what I see in reality is that these people, therapists working with offenders, have been trained at universities to work with victims, and they treat the offenders as if they are victims. They are not, okay? Yeah. They can have been victims in their childhood, but they ain't anymore. And the part of the victim within the offender is treated separately. First, you're going to stop. And on an emotional level, these people, and just look at politics now, they are stuck between 3 and 7 years of age, emotionally. And children can be very, very cruel. They will adapt till the age of 12. What we see in reality with politicians is now that they are 12 years old. And because they have no self, has been destroyed, they've watched movies. And they have chosen, like Schwab. He's Vader, isn't he? I have never seen this movie, but from Star Wars or something. And even with his...
I know, it's just like, he's a caricature. He's a parody of evil, like a Doctor Evil kind of character.
Yeah. But they do not play that character. They are that character.
Yeah.
They are that character because they lost their self in abuse and in, I don't know, what kind of destruction. And so they start watching movies and reading books and they become that character. And I'd like to have, I've said that, I think on CNN once, I'd pay money to have a confrontation with Hillary Clinton. I'd pay money to have her face-to-face life. I think you can still find that interview somewhere. A lot have been taken out.
What, you're saying that you have spoken to her, you'd like to?
No, I would give money to speak to her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'd like to.
You will never do that. These people are scared to death.
With evil. Hillary Clinton's got to be one of the most evil people on the planet, I should imagine.
Have you seen the little movie of what she did to that little girl?
No. Has that come out then?
Well, I think you have to find it on the dark web. Somebody send it to me.
Right. What's she?
I will. I would not advise you to have a look at it.
No. Okay.
Too bad, because you can't get it off your screen anymore ever. Not.
What, she's killing children on this video.
Well, you see that they put she and her spokeswoman Habadine or whatever was her name. They put a 5-year-old girl naked on a table. That's how evil these people are.
Oh my God.
They're still running around.
They're still running around, yeah.
Something we have to do, you know.
Like that's just demonic. That's not even from this world. That's not human. That's she is some kind of demon. It manifests. That is just not a human being that could
how they can make this switch when they're on television. Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got my own research into that. I think that they do get possessed by a demonic entity. I do think that I've heard that so many. You must have heard that as well about people becoming.
And I've seen it with Jan. Christian van Geloven, I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
I've seen them. What happens? They switch, right? Their eyes go.
They're not the same anymore.
Yeah.
I was allowed to talk to him 2 days because I had to do 1,100 kilometers. And the first day was good, went very good. he talked, and I've learned a lot from him. How you have a before crime thinking, during crime thinking, after crime thinking. While they're focused on committing a crime, they only pass the 2 stages. They don't think on the past and the consequences of their acts. They don't. It's only later they do. And so we've been talking for hours and hours the first day. And then the second day, I'm sitting there waiting for him, and they bring him in. And I thought, whoa, they made a mistake. That's not the prisoner I need. So I tell them, but I need to talk to Christian van Geloven. And they were amazed, and they said, it is Christian van Geloven. And I thought, oh, what is this? I didn't recognize him. One day later.
Oh, yeah. What? Because he kind of his whole face changed.
His eyes were black, and I describe it also in my book. Black. You know, I could not get in. I could not. I bounced back, and he was aggressive. But even his face had changed. I will never be able to explain this. But then, at a certain point, and there you see how strong love is. He grabs my hand on the left side. It was a small table, and he squeezes my hand. And I thought, don't show any emotion. Don't show any emotion. Because he's trying to read me. And I let him squeeze my hand, and I took my left hand and put it on his right hand, who was also laying on the table, just laying my hand on it. And he started to just my hand, nicely on his hand. He couldn't keep his hand anymore. He had to pull it back. And then he was out of this demonic moment.
Like a loving touch with the hand.
Yeah, he couldn't bear it. It was as if I put a fire hot iron on his hand. He couldn't stand it, and I've described this in the book. This book is already almost 30 years old. Now is the time to come out with these books. I write my books 30 years too early. The people are not ready for it.
Is it out? Has this book is actually
available?
Child
Hunters. It's Child Hunters. It's out since 1950.
1950?
1995. Yeah.
Yeah, 1995.
But people weren't talking about it. This was a bestseller in Canada, France, and Belgium.
Yeah.
Because we had the Dutroux case who exploded.
Yeah, of course.
There. It is not talking about Dutroux. It's talking about other cases.
Yeah. It's almost as if that love is a vibration, and the fear can't handle it. That demonic fear, and it's like throwing something on a frying pan. You know, it sizzles. It can't deal with that.
No, well,
that
yeah. Or you put you leave your pan on the fire and you forget it, and then you pour in cold water.
Yeah, it goes everywhere.
It felt a bit like that. It was amazing.
It's like sunlight on a vampire kind of thing. Yeah. It's amazing.
The same. That was and it looked really demonic. I couldn't get into his eyes. I couldn't.
You must see that a lot then with the offenders, or even some of the victims talk about it.
Yeah, but this was really exceptional.
That was like
palpable. I felt in danger, really.
Yeah.
Because the ward of the prison asked me, shall I stay inside? I said, no, but stay near. So if he grabs my throat, I'm done. I would have been dead. That's as simple as that.
So he completely switched. There's a movie, Nefarious, where a guy is switching between normal and demonically and
it was exactly that, but
like
then with a real man in front of you.
Yeah.
Because then after that, he started to look to his hand, and he said, I did this with his hands. I did this with his hands.
As if it's not him. As if it's not him doing it. Yeah.
He was talking also about some other entity but
did he mention it? Did he mention the name of the entity? Did he say he was possessed?
No. At that moment I was not busy with entities. I was busy with you did this.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yeah.
I know he killed several children. As he said in his letter, you're smart enough, you know my profile. Everything is in here. So I have to re-examine all these 1,000 pages word by word. And I never had the time to do that. Maybe one day, maybe. There's so much going on.
Yeah, I wonder if some of these people they just can't get healed unless they get a deliverance or some kind of spiritual
but
healing.
it's important material. I also put in that book a model of a prison that could be very helpful for society. Hour per hour, and where they are obliged, each with their different profile, to help solve unsolved cases. That at least they pay back the harm they've done to society. But no, the more victims there are, the better it is for the system. It are the ideal slaves. These are the ones lining up for their jobs.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't
500 job.
And they're all slowly starting to die, aren't they? Like the people that have had the jab,
Yeah, it's so sad, especially for children. They didn't have a choice. And now they are operating children and transforming them without the consent of the parents.
That's another thing as well. They're doing it behind the parents' back as well. They were doing it.
And if you refused, you lose your children anyway. They come and get them.
Really?
In America, they do now,
In America, like the vaccines, the normal not the COVID one, the other jabs, yeah.
No, I'm talking about these operations, this surgery.
Oh, the surgery.
Transform them in boys and girls.
Oh, are you talking about where they invert them as well? They kind of take children that I've heard where they invert the sexes in the.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, they are having these surgeries, that's for sure, and more coming out now that they regret it terribly.
Oh, the trans stuff, you mean?
Trans, yeah.
They're pushing that, aren't they?
Yeah, and as a parent, you have no right to refuse
it. No, it's disgusting, isn't it? Absolutely disgusting. They can't have it. You can't have a tattoo until you're 18 or something. You can't have a drink of alcohol in America till you're 21. And yet these kids are like being pushed through to cut their genitals off. It's just
my father once said we were in an elevator and he said, look, not allowed under the age of 16 without an adult, but they can have sex.
Yeah. It's just so.
Give them a credit card and a license, driver's license. Give them everything. We are living in a lunatic world.
We're in a mental asylum, basically. And then we're the crazy ones. That's the thing. We're considered crazy.
Yeah, but we will stand foot.
I know. Well, thank you. Thank you for standing foot, and thank you for being a warrior.
Yeah, you too, because if we didn't have people like you on the internet, the majority would never have known.
Not have a voice, I guess. Yeah. But this is like my calling, Same with yours. I remember we spoke before and you said, what else can I do apart from protect children? What's more important than that?
It is supposed to be the future, but you're in United States now.
Me? No, UK.
UK.
Okay. Yeah. And not that it's much better, but I feel like it's slightly better than America, but with what's going on, but there's still bad stuff everywhere.
Look at the gold.
Everything's collapsing, yeah.
Yeah, but the gold is up incredibly, and the silver too. So it means it is collapsing on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's better. Let it collapse.
Well, yeah, it depends I don't mind it collapsing, it's what it reforms into. That's the issue.
That's the issue. If it is the new
because
world
it's either going to
thank you.
It's either going to be the World Economic Forum's version of the Great Reset, or it's going to be the Great Reveal. And it's going to be run by the people, grassroots, and we're going to form our own communities and paradigms, but it just depends what people want. Do you want to get jacked into the cloud and have your social credit system and have convenience, or do you want to go back to the land? Do you want to go back to whole food, educate your own children and detach from the Vatican monetary system?
Well, I prefer to die then. I don't want to live in something like that.
Yeah, if someone gave me the choice, I would choose death. Yeah. If someone literally had I'm not joking, if someone had that COVID jab, or I had to take it or die, I'd probably die actually, because it's not. I don't want to be a part of that. Don't want to be a part of that.
No.
Yeah.
Me neither. Absolutely not. And I've said that in many interviews in the beginning from the COVID.
Yeah.
Don't comply. just say no.
No, exactly.
That was in 2020.
Yeah. So
in the meantime, Robert Steele, whom I also had an interview with, and we were talking about this. In the meantime, they killed him.
they killed him, didn't they? Robert Steele.
Yeah.
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 What
Got
was
along
he?
well with them. You know, he's a commissioner in this ITNG, which is evil too, but sometimes you have to be in the evil to see from within what is going on.
They're not, so there are good people in institutions. They're not all bad. They are, you get some good ones that just make it, right? Yeah. Okay. Right.
But I got along very well with Robert Steele. Very well.
I watched some of his videos actually. That's such a shame, actually.
Yeah.
He was whistleblowing. He was actually doing some really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was telling people not to take it, right? He was saying, do not take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had an interview with him too about the jump, and no way we would take it. And then they brought him probably with
remdesivir. Yeah, they probably killed him off with remdesivir.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. At night I sent him an email saying, Robert, tell me it's not true. I'm still not over it.
Really? Yeah, it's upsetting.
It's gonna be 3 years now.
They killed off quite a lot of high-profile people, because there was Kerry Mullis, who was the guy who invented the PCR test. He died amazingly, like a few months before the whole pandemic started. Robert Steele, you had another guy, not Dr. Malhotra, but I'll put it into the edit. There's a lot of doctors dying, high-profile doctors who are very outspoken. Yeah, they didn't want the truth coming out, basically.
Well, now, and therefore they have to kill people to stop them talking.
They either character assassinate them by calling them a conspiracy theorist, but if they're so credible that you can't use that, they'll actually assassinate them.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's thanks to people like you having this podcast that the majority of the population worldwide knows now.
Yeah, I think they know. I think a lot regret it now, you know.
Yeah. You see that also in reactions on podcasts.
I still get the trolls. I had one troll yesterday saying, "Oh, he messaged on about 3 different videos saying conspiracy theorist," and I was talking to a survivor of, sexual abuse, and he was just disgusting.
I should ask him, "What's your problem?"
His problem
was one of them. I have a flyer on my website.
No, this guy was
one of them.
This guy was because it was on a debate on Instagram, and I was saying that I don't support abortion, especially late-term abortion. I think it's evil, and he was saying that it's like bodily autonomy for women. And I said, what, 5 seconds? He goes, only when baby comes out the womb is it a baby. I said, what, 5 seconds before, when it's in the womb, it's not a baby? He goes, yeah, it's a fetus. It doesn't become a person until it comes out the womb. It's absolutely evil. I mean, how evil do you need to be to think like that? He goes,
but
look,
there are states in the United States where you can abort after giving birth.
Oh,
but
I know.
All these babies, they go to universities for experiments.
Yeah, and they've been so like ideologically possessed, where they believe that killing a baby is somehow empowerment for women. Like,
cool,
go on the women, and then you even hear sometimes outside a woman was on the, I'll put it into the edit. She was saying, I had an abortion last week, and you hear these women in the crowd going, yeah.
And a special shout out to where my people who had abortions, where y'all at?
It's just like, oh my God, this is
that's the problem with when you have minorities grabbing the power. Because I've seen one who had 9 abortuses, and the 9th one she asked, "Can I see it?" And they showed the little baby, and she started crying. For her, it was something that happened, somewhere with the curtain. But then she saw that little baby. She became hysterical.
Yeah,
hysterical that she had 9 babies like this being killed. So they envelop it in something that, disguises the truth all the time.
They make it sound as though it's like men subjugating, controlling women and controlling their reproductive system, instead of it being about what it really is about, we just want to save the bloody children. We're trying to stop them from being murdered. That's all it is.
Protecting life in general.
Just trying to protect lives. And then what they do is they dehumanize. Maybe you know something about this, but they'll choose Latin words because it dehumanizes a baby. So they'll say fetus. It's not a baby, it's a fetus. And in Latin, it just means offspring or child anyway. But they dehumanize by using Latin words, or zygote, fetus, because then it legitimizes them killing the baby without any feeling of remorse. It's a linguistic way of abdicating your own guilt.
But it's only the words. I said it.
It's words, yeah.
Before.
But I've realized that what it is because a lot of these people, they don't believe in biology, nature. You could use the word God, but we don't even have to use that word God. Nature and biology, that they see everything as a social construction. So for them, a baby isn't actually a baby until it's out the womb interfacing socially with the world. That's their paradigm. Because they see everything as a social construction. That's
because they have groups telling them all the time and brainwashing them all the time. And it's all the words.
Pumping them full of this like kind of Marxist sort of teachings of it's anti-life, it's anti-nature, it's anti-life.
Well, what they do with the chemtrails is the same, isn't it?
I just looked out today, and it's like a grid. There's a grid of chemtrails.
Well, today, now, here, no, but most of the days, yes.
Yeah.
And people finally start to see it after 20 years.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I finally think, what is going on? Then I think, oh God, if you have to explain everything.
I know, yeah, they do.
It's a lot.
I know people aren't ready for that yet. So that's why the people that are watching this show, they're kind of, they're ready for all this stuff.
But if you go to timeToTalkAboutIt.org, you go to books and you have the right Netherlands or English, you'll find all the books.
Okay.
At the moment, they're not on it all yet, but we are working on it.
Brilliant. Yeah.